Good morning, and thank you for being here today. I'm Beth Purvis, and I am the Secretary of Education in the Office of Governor Rauner. And we are here today with the governor to enact into law two bills that will support teachers and provide more transparency around assessment and the issue of over-testing. House Bill 5901, which has had broad bipartisan support, emphasizes the governor's commitment to ensuring that we have a rigorous and transparent accountability system and that we have a better understanding of the assessments that are being done statewide to drive student performance. House Bill 6181 allows flexibility and reduces bureaucracy for teachers as they improve their skills and content knowledge as is required for state licensure. So thank you for being here today, and I will turn it over to Governor Rauner.
Thanks. Good morning, everybody. Today is a good day for parents of school children in Illinois and for teachers, public school teachers here in Illinois. We're here to sign two important bills. First is House Bill 5901. I'd like to thank Representative Will Guzzardi for sponsoring this in the House and Senator Iris Martinez for sponsoring this bill in the Senate. It's a very important bill to increase transparency in our school system. We have a vast number of standardized tests being given to our children, our students throughout the state of Illinois. There is concern about too much testing among teachers. There's concern about too much testing among parents. There's concern that valuable teaching time is being taken away from our students and given over to testing. At this point, we don't have really accurate information about how much testing is really going on. All schools, and I believe in local control, schools control their own testing to a major degree. So what we'd like to do, and what this bill does, is have schools report into the State Board of Education about the standardized testing that they give. It's purely a transparency issue so that we can then...
We are teachers and we are not illiterate. We challenge you to read out books and literature on educational justice and civil rights. Will you accept that challenge? It's important that we educate you about what we really do every day, because obviously you don't really know. We need you to understand that we are going to read you a few examples of the ways in which you've harmed education, destroyed this great state. It's contrary, your remarks are inflammatory and Trump-like. You need to stop this attack on public education.
All not half of CPS teachers can read. We are outraged that he and his millionaire friends are primarily responsible to Illinois' budget woes, criminally neglecting, denial of resources for social services, and inadequate school funding. Allow us educators to demonstrate our literacy by showing you how you have undermined the schools and social services in Chicago and downstate Illinois for the entirety of your tenure.
From 2009 to 2012, the top 1% in Illinois people like Rauner captured a whopping 97.2% of all income growth, far surpassing the overall Midwest average of 72%.
This past year, Governor Rauner has pursued his turnaround agenda at the expense of working families. Across the state, families have been denied basic human needs, institutions vital to our public life, such as universities, and municipal governments have started to collapse, and our state infrastructure is being put at risk.
Think back for a moment to the truly historic Democratic primary race. Recall for a moment the eloquent African-American candidate who threw his hat into the ring against two popular white candidates with big political names.
Wherever they were sent, the civil rights activists found that the initial responses by black locals was less than enthusiastic.
In 2012, a then unmarried Georgetown law student, Sandra Fluke, testified about the insurance regulations being proposed for women buying birth control. Fluke's argument barely touched on issues of sexual freedom. It was intended about money, wages, education, and the rights that women have to live multifaceted lives.
In 2008, you called Arnie Duncan and said, help my daughter get into Walter Payton. A month later, you gave CPS $250,000. Clout much?
Your response, Governor.
Again, I'd like to thank Representative Will Gazzardi for his sponsorship of House Bill 5901 and increasing transparency around testing within our public school system. I'd also like to thank Senator Iris Martinez for sponsoring this important bill in the Senate. We're also here this morning to sign House Bill 6181. I'd like to thank Representative Kathleen Willis for sponsoring this bill in the House, and Senator Iris Martinez for sponsoring this bill in the Senate. This bill will assist our teachers throughout the state of Illinois to enhance their further education, their further professional development by giving them flexibility to count the hours that they do extra education and training. If it's beyond the amount needed in a particular year, they can apply those hours of training and education to the subsequent year's requirements around licensing and training. This gives them flexibility and encourages our teachers to further enhance their own education and their professional training. With that, I'd like to sign these two bills, and then we'll open it up to questions at that point. Great. Thank you very much, everybody. Happy to open it up to questions.
Governor Rauner, obviously we had to sit to you here today at this press conference. Just what would you tell the teachers that saw the comments that you made? I know, I realized it was in 2011, but still saw the comments that were made in that year.
Yes. Let me be very clear. I apologize for the statement that I made in that email in 2011. The remarks there were inaccurate and intemperate, and I apologize to the teachers, and I regret those comments.
There were a number of standardized tests for teachers that they took as part of certification, recertification, going back perhaps 10 years ago. I'm sure you were aware at the time you wrote that of those tests, and they showed, if not half of the teachers being illiterate, a large number. Is this a case, as they say in Washington, a gap is when you tell the truth?
I am very passionate about education. Education is the most important thing we do together as a community. This is our children's future, and every child in every neighborhood and every community deserves a good education. And it is every day that a child sits in a classroom and is not learning is a tragic day. We have got to do everything we can to make sure we have the best schools in every neighborhood and every community throughout the state of Illinois. The primary reason I ran for governor was to change the way we prioritize education. I think most of you are aware, prior to my becoming governor, the majority in the General Assembly cut school funding from the state 4 times in the prior 10 years. Even after the 2011 income tax hike, state support for education was cut. I was outraged, to be very candid. I was outraged by that, and that's a big part of why I ran for governor. Illinois ranks dead last dead last among the 50 states for state support for education. That is wrong, fundamentally wrong. And I've taken strong action last year and this year, my first 2 years as governor, to change that. I've dramatically increased state support for education. And we are going to redo our state funding formula. I am committed to this. We have the largest gap of any state in America between funding for low-income neighborhood schools and higher-income neighborhood schools. This is wrong. This is unequal funding. It denies the American dream to too many low-income children from disadvantaged neighborhoods. We have got to change our system. We have tolerated this for too long, and as governor, I am standing up and fighting for our school children in every neighborhood, especially our low-income neighborhoods. I am very supportive of teachers. We are blessed. We have many wonderful teachers in Illinois. They should be recognized, they should be acknowledged, they should be encouraged. But we need to make sure that our system supports all teachers and to make sure our teachers reach their fullest potential and that we have good teachers in every classroom. We will continue to fight and advocate more money for schools, more accountability for schools, more transparency for schools, and very importantly, choice for parents. I believe that all parents deserve options for their child. They should be able to choose a school that best fits their child. And no student should be trapped, should be locked in a failing school. I believe that very passionately. That's why I've been a big funder of charter schools and other competitive choice schools, so parents can have options regardless of their income, regardless whether they can afford to pay more. They shouldn't be asked to pay more. They should have options and choices, and I've fought for that for years.
In 2011, you also said that, speaking of the charter schools, in 2011 you also, according to the emails, said that you felt like you had wasted 80% of the money that you put into public schools.
When you look at the level of improvement in public schools in Chicago and around the state of Illinois, the pace of improvement has been inadequate. Now, there has been improvement. I will say this. The system has improved in CPS, and it has, in some school districts around the state, it has improved, but not nearly enough, and in many areas it has not improved at all. We have got to, our children come first. They should be our top priority. Our students and our teachers deserve our support. As I said, Illinois has cut school funding. We have unequal funding. We have inadequate funding. It is wrong, and we've got to change the system.
Do you still feel like you wasted your money?
The amount of change that has occurred through the efforts of reformers has been inadequate. I remember a strong quote. I was at a education reform conference years ago, and I believe it was Eli Broad who said, he's far wealthier than I believe, as the good book says, to whom much has been given, from whom much is expected in return. I told our 6 kids, I've been lucky, made a lot of money working for teachers. I've primarily worked for teachers my whole life, giving a better retirement to them, for them investing their pension assets, and did a terrific job, and I'm proud of it. Made a lot of money doing it, and with the money we've made, we've given back, funded teacher training, teacher education, scholarships, principal development, charter schools, early childhood education. My wife and I give back very significantly. I don't spend time bragging about it. I'm not here to brag, but that's a fact. Eli Broad said his money was about 80% was wasted, and I think he's given about $1 billion. I don't want to quote the exact number. All of us in education reform who've been fortunate to have done well and care about making the school system better are frustrated that the pace of change and pace of improvement in the education system for the children of America and the children of Illinois is inadequate. And when you compare our education system in America to education in other nations, we're falling behind. And that causes income inequality, that causes lower wages, that pushes up unemployment. It's at the core of many of our challenges, and that's why I'm so passionate about this.
What are you advocating to accelerate that pace of change, to adapt more reforms? Would you say you need to identify and support more than you or others have high-performing charter schools?
Well, we'll be today's not the day to go into all the plans for the future. I would like to meet with all of you in a few weeks. We're going to talk more about education in depth. One of the things we need to talk about is student growth measurement. The Illinois State Standardized Test, the ISAT, it's the good news for the people of Illinois that the ISAT is pretty well phased out. That was a travesty. The Illinois State Standardized Test was one of the most inadequate, lowest bar state standardized tests of any state in America. That is wrong. Our children and our teachers deserve better than that. That's gone. The PARCC system has come in. It's controversial, and our State Board of Education is starting to move away from that. What we need to do is eliminate over-testing, restrict the amount of testing, but have a rigorous, simple, objective, long-term way to measure student growth so we can see how we're doing. And that's one of the most important steps we'll be advocating in the future.
What role do you think the Chicago Public Education Fund should play in education? And do you see any dangers in having wealthy businessmen, not necessarily educators, direct education policy?
Well, for my own involvement, I've been involved either as a chairman or a donor or a board member for many, I think most of the education reform organizations around Chicago. Very proud of that. I have to say many of my ideas, we all have our opinions. Many of our ideas are not taken up and have no impact. My primary goal is to empower parents. Parents should have the information about what's going on in their schools, transparency, good, objective, consistent, rigorous information, and they should be empowered to take action on behalf and advocate on behalf of their child about their schools. That's my primary emphasis. Empower parents, give them good, understandable information about what's going on in their schools, and give them choices to choose among, whether they have high incomes or not.
Governor, what can you say to the teachers who feel perhaps insulted or hurt by the comments that were in these emails? You've talked about how important teachers are to the system and important to educating children. What can you say about the relationship now with teachers, and what do you want to say to them?
As I started this, and I'll say it again very clearly, I apologize. The remark I made in that email 5 years ago was both inaccurate and intemperate. And I apologize. I am a strong advocate for teachers, always have been, always will be. I'm very proud of my business. I worked for teachers. And as governor, I've increased state support for schools to record levels. I want more resources for our teachers. I want them empowered. I want more investment in our school buildings. Many of our school buildings are inadequately invested in. I want more technology in the classroom to support our teachers, and I want to support them further in their professional development.
Two questions.
Were you
One,
disappointed
you didn't
that
really
the
answer.
emails
You didn't
came
really
out?
answer the question about whether or not you feel as if you've wasted your money. And two, also questioning on the emails. Can you give us what prompted you to write that email?
Well, I would encourage you actually to read all the emails that got, I don't know if you have you read all of them? I think you'll understand if you read all the emails that got sent out.
I'm asking you.
So if you read all the emails, it's important. You should read them. I have spent much of my life, both my time and my resources, trying to improve public education. It's the most important thing we do. Our children, every child deserves a good education. Every child deserves a good teacher in a good classroom. And we are not providing that in all circumstances, and that's what I'm trying to change. And I was clear, I did answer the question. The pace of change is too slow. That's what I mean when all our efforts, it's important, we can't give up, but the pace of change is too slow. Every day that goes by, every year that goes by, where children are not learning enough, not learning at grade level on pace, is a tragedy. It's a tragedy because these children, they don't have their youth back. They can't repeat their youth, and when they come to graduation time, if they haven't acquired the skills to have a good career, we have failed them. We can't fail our children, and that's the reason I'm so passionate about this.
Do you feel like you wasted your money? That's the question.
The pace of improvement has been too slow.
Last question.
Last one. Evaluations should be mostly based on test scores?
I will not say that. I will say we do need a rigorous, consistent, objective way to measure student growth. This is critically important. And I'm very proud of the fact we've encouraged CPS. CPS is among some of the better districts trying to push for measuring student growth, and I applaud them for that. That's a step in the right direction. Here's a key point that's critical, I think, for you all to understand. We often judge schools by the test score level. If students score at a high level on some test, that's a good school. If they score lower that's a bad school. That's not true. We have to be careful. We have to be rigorous about this. What matters is, where did the students start when they came into that school or came to that teacher? If a student starts 3 years behind, as an example, starts 3 years behind into a class or into a school situation, and they leave it 1 year behind, so they gained 2 years during that period, you compare it to a school where the students came in at grade level or maybe 6 months ahead. They left the school or they left the situation 6 months behind. Which school is doing a relatively better job? Our current system in most of our districts would say the second school where they left 6 months behind is the better school. It's just the level. The reality is that's not the case. The school that actually took a youngster who was years behind and helped them accelerate dramatically, they were doing a better job. We need to know that. Our parents need to know that so they can make better choices.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody.
What about the teachers who showed up here? Governor?
Thanks very much.
What do you think about the teachers disrupted?
I do a TV program called Public Affairs out of town.